Do you expect to wake up every single morning with renewed excitement? And I think that that's one of the most important positive effects of living a spiritual life, a true spiritual life.
Hello and welcome to Spiritually Hungry. Today we're going to talk about something we all crave.
Ice cream.
And that is...
Love. I was talking to somebody today and he was talking about his relationship. I know this is not what this...
Not even close.
And I said, are you in love? He says, what does that even mean?
It sounds jaded.
Or confused.
Well, what we're actually going to talk about is feeling alive. That spark of excitement, the energy of inspiration. Do you not know we're talking about this?
No, that's not what I prepared for.
What did you prepare for?
Embracing challenges.
We never talked about that.
That was the episode that was supposed to be.
No, this was the episode of last week.
What was it?
Living excited and inspired and embracing challenges.
Oh, okay. You scared me. Okay.
That's not the whole thing. You better start to get inspired about what this is really about. That's hilarious. You can't come up with a whole title, which actually you chose, and then decide you're going to talk about one part of it.
It's been a week. It's been over a week since I prepared for this podcast.
Me too. We're not going to get to the challenges straight away.
Really? That's all I got?
We will. So you better start quickly thinking about some other things.
I'm sure you will inspire me.
The spark of excitement, the energy of inspiration, that sense that we're connected to something bigger than ourselves. But let's...
Oh, you know, I meant these as two separate episodes.
Are you serious?
Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. I like living.
So let's talk about something important, punctuation. If they're two separate ideas, we can put a period and then say, and also. Yes. Okay. So let's be honest. Most of us wake up and it's just another day. It's a routine. We go into the same thing and we do crave a different kind of life, but we wonder, where did that spark go? So today we're going to explore how to live excited and inspired, not only when things are easy, but especially when they're challenging. You see how those segue?
Yes, I get it.
Okay, so the first idea is, what does it mean to be excited and to really live excited? Not that surface level kind of excitement, like...
Well, so actually it's interesting. The comment that I made before actually ties in perfectly into what we're talking about. I think it starts...
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I'm not talking about like a vacation or a nice meal.
Of course. I
know you know. I'm saying that for our listeners.
I think that it starts with expectation. Mm-hmm. I think if you asked, and I wonder, if you asked our listeners even, or asked people in the world, do you expect to wake up every single morning with renewed excitement? And I think that that's one of the most important positive effects of living a spiritual life, a true spiritual life, in that, first of all, even before experiencing it, you're expecting it, which means we're saying to our listeners now, if you do find that day to day as you wake up or you go through life, it's almost like, going through the motions and you're not feeling that excitement. And this is true both in your own personal life, but it's also true in your relationships. It's true about every area of your lives. Then you have to stop. And it begins with that expectation. No, if I am going to be connected to the light of the Creator, the endless light of the Creator, that means that every area of my life is going to feel renewal and rejuvenation all the time. It's something interesting. Interestingly, in the past few weeks, as I've been giving lectures, that's been a constant theme, that idea of renewal, that's really what spiritual life and work is about.
Right. The inspiration that we're talking about is not just creativity. We're actually talking about how to feel alive and awake every single day. And it's 100% true, if you don't actually have a spiritual practice, or that's a priority and guiding force in your life, it's kind of impossible to get there, because this kind of feeling completely alive and awake is the language of the soul. It's not anything else. Yes, we can get excited by things, right? Money, vacation, meals, etc. But this is about really being so tapped into that your light force or your life force that you absolutely are constantly alive and awake. And it's not a coincidence. One of our kids a few days ago found these home movies. And of course, she came in and plopped herself right next to me as I was trying to concentrate and work. And she was playing one after the other. And I got distracted. I started watching these with her. We all kind of joined in. And there are a few things I noticed. I want to bring the other part of it up later in this episode. But it was seeing our 3 oldest kids very young, right? You kind of forget because they're older now. Abigail's still just a teen, early teen, preteen. I guess a teen, but she is still in that kind of,
not a teen.
Yeah, that youthful kind of curious, alive, awake stage, always thinking of new ideas. So it was interesting to see the older 3 in that state, right? Ages 2 through 8, 9, 10. And it was a constant like movement. That energy was constantly moving through the house, like whether it was a meal or about their day, or they were doing something dangerous or climbing on the playground, or one was telling on the other. And I forgot about that kind of like, some parents, I guess, see it as chaos. I saw it as alive, like being fully awake and curious about life, so much so that it's running through you all the time. And that's really what we're talking about today in this episode.
Yeah, and although we're not going to talk about so much about challenges, but I think that's the other side of this.
We will also, yes.
Is that the challenges are also an indication of being alive. So it's not like a negative thing. And hopefully we'll talk about further how to make it a positive experience. But like you said, it's an experience of life. And
well, I think also people think that they lose the energy because, oh, life's boring, right? It's not really that. It's that we've stopped being curious on some level. It's how we show up for ourselves in life. Because the opportunities are all around, right, for inspiration. And we don't see it that way. And I remember in a class I gave once, I put it on the board. I wrote opportunity is, and it depends on how you see things, right? It's either now, here, or nowhere. It's the same word if you put all the letters together. And it's important to see what lens you're actually looking at your life through and what's leading. Is it the spark of your soul looking for that and saying, I am fully alive, and even the challenges have great purpose and meaning? Or is it the other side of like the glass is half empty?
And I think it's just, I was reading something recently, this idea that sometimes in the pursuit of accomplishment, spiritual or physical, or even doing, which is an important part of life, but we sometimes therefore miss the opportunity of being. Mm-hmm. Life itself is exciting, right? So rather, imagine you're outside and the sun is shining and you're late or, to your next meeting. Where's your focus? Your focus is, I have to go to my meeting. I have to get this done, right? Rather than saying, no, being alive in the second with the sun shining on me. This is life. This is exciting. And I think
it's funny. It reminds me, I was around September, I was pretty stressed. We had a lot of responsibility and speaking engagements coming up. And I remember I had my last talk in a 48-hour period. And I remember I was with our girls and I said to Miriam, I can't wait until next week. I am really going to take time just to enjoy and just take a minute to just, completely downtime. Now, of course, then the next week came. The pressure that was immediate right in front of me was now gone. And now I had a whole new list of things that I needed to do. And she turned to me, she's like, didn't you say this week was going to look different for you? And I was like, okay, that's great. She called me out, but it actually made me pause and say, okay, I'm going. But that's the thing. We just go through what's next. I mean, I stopped trying to chip away at my to-do list because as soon as you get something off, there's something that comes quickly to replace it.
Yeah, I would say, and this is where it ties into the idea of challenges. I would say to our listeners, and I was talking to somebody today and it was hard for them to accept this. But imagine a way of living. And this, I strongly feel, is the goal of true spiritual work done consistently and strongly. That your experience is amazing, separate from what is actually happening. Because it's the understanding is that where I am right now, whether it's by choice or not, is exactly the perfect place for my soul to be, for me to be experiencing. And I'll share this. It's funny. Yesterday, we've done a podcast on intuition, and I had two moments of intuition yesterday. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, I drove somewhere and I parked the car, and then I'm parking the car. I'm thinking, do people steal cars here? That's just the thought that I had. I said, nah, people don't steal cars.
I wish you had actually listened to that thought.
No, I don't. Then later on, I say to myself, because I think about this a lot, that concept, what's the goal, the state you want to be in, that when things happen that you want, of course, to be able to live with excitement in that moment. When things happen that you don't want, there's at least 4 levels: acceptance, surrender, maybe the same. Happiness, excitement. So is it possible? The purpose of the spiritual work is that when things happen that you don't want them to happen, you're able to eventually get to a place of excitement about them. So that was a thought that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And then I come back to my car.
You had both those thoughts.
Both those thoughts. That's really the purpose of life, to have the challenges.
But why did you even think that second thought? You didn't know what actually had happened.
No, because I was thinking about it in general. I think it's important for me, for us, for any person on a true spiritual journey to be elevating on those rungs from the lowest level is, no, I don't want this to happen, anger, disappointment, to acceptance, surrender, to joy about it, to excitement about it. So those two thoughts, people steal cars here, and this purpose of the spiritual work is to get to a state where you get excited about what is happening. So I come out and the car is stolen.
Yeah.
I had a whole different plan for that evening. I had to go to the police station, spend 2 hours there, and then taking a train. It was a whole, and I kept on, sort of reminding myself, right? It's not just about saying, the car being stolen, me having to spend these 2 hours here, me having to spend time on the train. It's not like I accept it because I know it's from the light of the Creator. It's I get to a stage where I'm joyful that this happened, and then ultimately that I'm excited that this happened. And I think that's, again, as I said, at the foundation of our spiritual work has to be that constant growth in acceptance, joy, embracing those things that we don't want to happen.
That's great. That's like your sticky coffee story.
Exactly.
It reminds me also of something that Reb Brandwein, the Kabbalist, your father's teacher, spoke a lot about. And he talks about this idea of happiness, and the Zohar writes about this also, that when we make spiritual connections, whether we're studying or we're praying or we're sharing, why then do some draw blessings, those good deeds, and other times we don't see the effect of that, right? And many people, and they feel like, am I not deserve? We go into that whole kind of spiral of why it's not happening. But in truth, the secret is, how are we when we're doing those actions, even the spiritual actions of things that we're trying to create? And they discuss the state of being in a state of joy. And you can do something that's even a positive action, but not be happy to do it, right? You're sharing, but you're doing it begrudgingly, or you'd rather be somewhere else, or you could even, yesterday could have looked very different for you, even with that challenge that came up. But if you're doing something good or something you're not even enjoying, but you do it with joy, it brings about the inspiration. It makes you feel fully alive and fully awake. And I think that's the secret ingredient that most people don't realize. They think that if they're just doing the action and it's positive, that's enough.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very important teaching. So Rabbi Brandwein, my father's teacher, quoting the great Kabbalist Rabbi Isaac Luria, he says it's literally like a formula. It's like a mathematical formula. Positive action plus level of joy, call it from 1 to 100, equals the amount of blessings that flow from that, which means even the most positive action done with zero joy can bring zero blessings. And positive action with 100% joy brings 100 times.
It's like the example of you bake a cake, right? You put all the great ingredients in it, but you're crying while you're doing it. It's not going to taste very good, right? People aren't going to enjoy it. Probably it's going to have an energy that's flat and not great. Versus somebody who's singing, dancing, they put all of their love. It's like that movie Chocolat, right? And like all of these things in it, you feel elated. There's an energy in every single thing. And people don't think that matters. I'm doing the action. Isn't that enough? But no, it's not.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the other thing about inspiration, I guess I also want to say, like, let's ask our listeners now, when was the last time that you felt truly inspired? And what were you doing at that moment? And think about, were you happy? Were you tapped into something that speaks to you? Were you dancing? Like, what was it? And do more of that. The other part of inspiration.
I was going to say, I would also add that what I have found, that spiritual study and spiritual work, that deep inner work where you look at yourself, what you need to transform and take action, that's what leads to inspiration. So, because I think, again, spiritually, the understanding is this: my soul in its natural state is joyful at 100%. Mm-hmm. When I do negative actions, I act selfishly, I hurt somebody else, I'm thoughtless, I put like a layer, a film around my soul. And so my experience of my soul now becomes a little bit diminished. The more I do that, the more I do actions of selfishness that hide my soul from myself, and then causes me to be capable of less joy. Conversely, if I peel off those layers that I created, right, by changing, by doing deep spiritual work, by doing actions of sharing, then I'm actually removing those shells from my own soul, and then I am capable of experiencing the joy that my soul is experiencing. So it's not as simple as, how can I inspire myself intellectually or even spiritually? It's what are the actions that I am doing? Because if we understand that the reasons why I'm not experiencing joy or inspiration is because I am in some way have become disconnected from my soul, what are the actions that I can do that can reconnect it? Spiritual study, spiritual work, that should lead to great experience of my soul, and therefore greater joy and inspiration.
Such a great truth. And I have an example that speaks exactly to that. So again, sometimes we're called to speak, right? We know we have to, and you might not be feeling inspired in that moment, but we want to feel inspired. We also deeply want to inspire other people. So it's not like, let me speak for myself, and maybe your experience is different, but it's not like I'm always inspired, and therefore I'm sharing, but rather I'm inspired to share, and I then do the work of inspiring myself through study, right? So I think often people wait for that moment of inspiration and then they're going to act, but it doesn't really work like that. I think you have to have a desire to really be inspired and to inspire other people, and then the inspiration will come.
Yeah, and I would add one more thing, which the Zohar speaks about as it relates to joy, but also to inspiration. I think that to your point, you have to also accept that joy and inspiration is a divine gift. And if it's not coming naturally, what are you doing to activate that? And that can be sometimes by being silly, sometimes by, as you said, pushing yourself to be inspired. That, what we call work from below, meaning the what we can do,
or
is
read
very
or
important.
Study or listen to songs from other people.
Exactly.
And I often do that. If I hear something that inspires me, I'll go and look up the author and read more about what they've written, because there's a spark in their words, right? Or if I'm listening to a song and I hear a lyric that's just like, whoa. And then I'm like, okay, well, how would I want to, if I want to write about something, how would I want to make somebody feel, right? You just have to, again, have that desire and that understanding and really go after it and create it. It's everywhere. It's in us. It's around us. I think, again, with the mistake we usually make is we look externally for the inspiration rather than realizing it's already within.
Yeah, but the caveat to that is, as we said, is that actually the inspiration is external, right? It is divine. It is from the Creator.
Yes, but I'm saying that external is internal.
From other people.
Well, no, divine true. Also.
Right. But when we appreciate inspiration and joy as a divine gift, and as you said before, we do actions to awaken it, I think it's also important after the fact, while we're experiencing it, or even after we experience it, to thank the Creator for giving me, because I didn't earn that. That was a divine gift. And it's interesting. I don't know if I still have it here. I had prepared this for a different, yeah. There's a famous writer, Stephen Pressfield, who wrote the book, The War of Art. He wrote the following. I'll read a little bit from it, but I think it's really important and it relates to what we're speaking about. So he says, the first thing I do when I enter my office each morning is to say a prayer to the Muse. I say it out loud in dead earnest. The prayer I say is the invocation of the Muse from Homer's Odyssey, translated by T. Lawrence. So he says, for me, this prayer is part of the process of conceiving our work as a sacred space. The prayer was given to me by one of my first writing mentors, Paul Rink. He typed it out and gave it to me. I still have it. The paper is slowly crumbling, but the prayer itself is indelible, and it's for real. I say it each morning before I sit down to work because I know, as every artist who will tell the truth knows, that I am not the source of any of the work I produce. I am the conduit. I'm the human voice. But the source lies elsewhere. I can't compel the work to appear. I can't make the goddess deliver. I can't bribe her or coerce her or grovel before her or make her any pledges or promises that will induce her to do what I wish. I can only invoke her. That's what Homer was doing when he began the Odyssey with these verses. O divine Posy, goddess, daughter of Zeus, sustain for me the song. He did the same in the Iliad with Sing, goddess of the wrath of Achilles, Peleus' son. If someone were following me around on a working day, they might think I was a little nutty. Certainly if they looked inside my head and saw the way I was conceiving the activities of each morning. She'd be forgiven if she thought, this dude is off in fairyland, but I'm not. I'm living in the absolute real world, the world of the mystery of creation, which no one understands and no one ever will. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, I again, you know, he's speaking of the muse, we speak about the light of the creator, but it's this understanding that, you know, having joy in this moment, if you think it's yours, you can take it more lightly. If you think this is some divine gift that somehow came to you, you give it much more respect and appreciation. And therefore I think it's important that's why the Zohar speaks at many different places about the concept that, you know, you're happy, don't take it for granted because it's not something you created. Yes, you can do actions to call it, but the joy, the inspiration is something divine.
All a gift. So there's two other aspects to this. One was challenges, which we're going to revisit in a minute. And the other is fear, because I think that plays a big part in separating or cutting us off from inspiration, because fear is basically a dead end. And the energy of fear, if you think about it, is the same energy as excitement. It gets you awake, it makes you alive, but fear actually stops you from going through that and moving towards your goal. It says it's the voice inside of you that says, oh no, why even try? It's not going to work out. But when it's converted to excitement, then that's the voice of the soul that says, well, you know what? If you try, then you'll see, you know, you will actually achieve, you'll accomplish, and then you try again, and then you try again. So it's taking that energy and realizing I don't want to feed the fear anymore, that whisper that is of the opponent that says I can't, and instead saying, okay, I'm going to try this. And the soul says, keep at it, try again, try it again, right? And I really respect that also, because we all have fear. If you're living and breathing, we will all have aspects of fear, but we do have the ability to choose how we want to convert that. And when we do, we show up very differently. I mean, everything worthwhile, meaningful, inspirational, creative that I have done in my life, fear was there. They're twins. And I decided not to feed the fear. And instead, I decided to raise the voice of my soul and go do it anyway.
Yeah, I think it's very important. And I think related to that is something I think about a lot. And that is, I think when we think about inspiration, we think about accomplishment, right? So I'm inspired to do this because then people will read it and they'll love it.
You're thinking about the end already instead of the process. Right? Yeah.
But what if we can, and I would strongly recommend this, move our thought to the doing is the blessing. Meaning the fact that I'm sitting and trying to write something, that is creation of energy. Now, whether it manifests as a great piece that I write or as a terrible piece that I write or no piece that I write, that's almost completely unimportant.
I love that so much. It's like the desire that you're even sitting and trying, and energy is never wasted, right? So if you keep at it again, it's eventually going to happen, but it's about constant movement and motion. I mean, you know, when I started to write, and I never tried to be a writer or a public speaker. It's something that I happened upon, but I started to have a desire to share in that way, right? In a real kind of meaningful, connective, personal way, a real way, not behind a desk, not, you know, twice removed, in that real way. But when I was sorting that all out in my head before I had the courage to actually do it, whether it was writing or speaking, I would go and bake. I would bake because it was a creation of something, right? Now, did I want to be a baker? No. Did I like the idea of customizing it, making it gluten-free or dairy-free or sharing to all the neighbors or the kids? Yeah, I liked that aspect of it, but I found it very meditative and creative. And the fact that I would make the recipes my own, there was that action that I was taking. And then eventually what would happen is while I was baking, I would start thinking about content, and then I would start thinking more, and then I would get more inspired by the thing I really wanted to be inspired by. Interesting.
But I think, again, I really want to underscore because I think it's so important. And again, it's something that I really focus on because especially in doing the work that we do, right? We teach, we write, we do so many things. And it's always, you know, tempting to go to the end goal. You know, how much have I accomplished? How much am I accomplishing? And again, there's a time and a place for that as we plan our lives and we plan our work. But I think the most powerful place to be focused is the doing is the creation of the energy, like you said. And just the fact that I have a desire to teach, a desire, and I take a step. And whether this, again, I think it's, again, because like you said, I think the reason, again, sometimes fear comes in is because we're always scared of what if the end goal is not what I wanted it to be, right? So I get up in the class and people are, weren't inspired by me or didn't like what I said.
Or didn't make sense. I mean, the other thing is like, if you have that mindset, right? The one that doesn't work, there's a stress of like, oh my God, I need to be creative again. I need to be innovative. I need to, what's the next big idea I'm going to have? And it's like, whoa, then you're not going to be inspiring, by the way, not to yourself and not to anyone else. Right. So it paralyzes a person from actually what they ultimately want, because it puts you in the wrong frame of mind. It's like you said, the outcome rather than the experience, the process, your own inspiration. I always, before I sit to write anything, I need to be inspired myself. It's never about them. It's never about others. It's not how it'll be received, because you're just going to come up with nothing great like that.
And I think it's also, again, related to that, but also really important is the fact that the thought of how it will be received is actually detrimental. That you really want to excise that from your consciousness. Your job is to be inspired and take action. What happens further, I say it's in the hands of the creator, but it's definitely not something that you want to be involved in. And therefore I often say, I get the opportunity to speak a lot and share in different ways. I always try to remind myself, I couldn't care less how it's received.
It's interesting. It's kind of like if this has happened to me a lot. I'll go into somebody's house and like I see that they're scrambling to get the food together. It's a dinner party, whatever. And I'll just go in, roll up my sleeves, like, use me, tell me what to do, let me help, right? And that's actually what I do with the creator before I sit to inspire or to write, or like, here, I have the desire, use me in whatever way you want. Let me be the channel for the message that you want to give the world. And that is how you get creative and inspired.
And I think, and I forgot where I read this in a few different places. I know sort of in the Japanese culture, this is seen more where your job is not, again, to have any reception of your work, but rather to become a craftsman in your craft. So whether you're making shoes, or whether you're writing poetry, or whether you're writing a book, or whether you're teaching a class, the goal should be internal, which means I want to become a better speaker. Not because then, people will like me more, it will be accepted. But that's just life. That's just life. That's manifestation of the light of the creator in what I'm doing and everything that I'm doing that is important to me, because I want to get better at it from myself, not because I want the reception of it. So if you're able to really maintain those three, one, do, second, care less of the reception, and third, what is the goal? The goal is for me to becoming a craftsman in this, a better and better orator, a better writer, whatever it is, but it's not about the reception. And if you're able to divorce those two, I think you'll be much more inspired, happier, and by the way, better.
Exactly. Now let's talk about challenges and how that is actually the path to inspiration. So this is where it gets interesting, because challenges are not the opposite of inspiration. They're the birthplace for it. And most people will not think that that's the case, because we try to avoid challenges. But challenges are really often the wake-up call we need. It's actually the material that inspires us the most, because we are forced to change. Now, the change is up to you, whether it takes you back or moves you forward and propels you to who you're meant to be. But that kind of any challenge, that is the purpose. And beautiful things are given birth to from that. I think about, speaking of birth, when we had Josh, I think everybody knows the story. He's remarkable. He also happens to have Down syndrome. But it wasn't that I only felt pain when he was born. I also felt joy. And you can have two things coexist. You can have pain and joy coexist at the same time. And I think people often think, when I get past this challenge, then I will do the thing that I like. I'll just be happy. And from that place of happiness, then I'll be inspired. But that's really not the case at all. It's completely backwards. And it reminds me of the documentary Mission Joy. It came out in 2021, and it features the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Why are you smiling?
No. I was just trying to think if I saw it. I realized I saw it. Yeah.
So what was interesting, though, is that they both radiated joy, but they talked about a lot of the pain that they had been through and many hardships in life. And they were asked the question, each of them, is how they were managed to keep their joy alive through all of the hardship that they had. And Desmond Tutu said, true happiness isn't about what we get, it's about what we give. And this is a Kabbalistic principle that runs very deep, because the truth is the kind of happiness that lasts, the real soul kind of happiness, comes from those moments where you're actually maybe still in the challenge, but you can start to see why the challenge was there for you. And I can tell you, my most profound memories in my lifetime, the most inspirational ones, are the times where I went through a great challenge and I understood why, and then I changed from it. I also have memories of other happy times for sure, and those are beautiful memories to go look back upon. But the ones that I feel deeply within my soul are the ones that are most difficult. Because we know that joy is not rooted in those things that are monetary. It's in those moments where our lives are touched deeply and that we go and we touch other people's lives, which takes me back to the video we were watching with the kids. So the other thing that struck me in watching that was me, to see myself. I just don't, first of all, I don't sound like myself. My voice was very quiet, very monotone. I mean, yes, it was a very happy time. We had a very happy time full of joy and beautiful miracles in our home, with our family, with each other. But externally, there were a lot of challenges going on. And my voice sounded defeated. And I was like, who's that? What? And even our daughter Miriam was like, I don't remember you like that. And why does your voice sound like that? I mean, it was that obvious. And so I've been thinking about that a lot the past few days because, wow, I mean, if I didn't choose to take those challenges and do something with them, I would have been even less of a person in terms of like, I looked so meek, like even physically. If I hadn't done something with that, then my life would have gone in a worse direction, even if it was hard at that time. Do you know what I'm saying? Right. And now, like, I hear myself, or I know how I feel. I don't know. I mean, maybe I should video tell. I mean, I don't know. I guess I see my videos in terms of when I'm inspiring people, but it's just like the challenges are actually the making of you. That's what they're meant for. And the greatest, you know what the inspiration is? You become, it's like having a slab of clay. It's how you chip away at yourself to really allow you to shine in the way that you were meant to.
Beautiful.
It was really powerful. Beautiful. It was really powerful. I love watching like movies, even from my childhood, but this was different because, you know, it's like what, 12 years ago, 15 years ago. And it's like, wow. I mean, I can even hear that voice. Like, I feel like she's not me, but I want to hug her. You know, it's like a weird kind of thing.
And like you're saying, if not for the challenges that you experience, you wouldn't be who you are, and being able
be inspired to do what I do. Right. Like none of it, nothing that exists today would actually exist. That's how strongly I feel about it.
And imagine, to the degree that we can during the challenges, having that same consciousness and therefore embracing them.
And that was the shift, right? I think that I stopped asking the question, why is this happening to me? Because I think it was like, there were things that were relentless for a couple of years. And the question shifted to, what am I meant to learn from this? What am I meant to see? Who am I meant to become? And then that was really where inspiration came in.
Beautiful. I do think for our listeners, next episode, I think we will focus even more on embracing the challenges. I have a lot more to say on that, but I do think, I guess.
So let's do a part 2 for this.
Well, more focused. The next one will be more on
the
how to overcome the challenges. But I do think, again, I'm very excited for our listeners to take in everything we shared and really expect to live a more inspired and more joyous life, which is what our birthright is, what we're meant to be experiencing.
So let's give just a few practical tools for the takeaway.
Sure.
Because it's one thing to talk about it. It's actually something else to live it, and it has to be practical. So 1, move your energy. When your body feels stagnant, your mind will too. You know, I'm big on that. Walk, hike, stretch, dance, jump on a trampoline, whatever, just move. To create something every day, it doesn't have to be big. Like I said, the baking thing, right? And the funny thing is I still do that when I'm really stressed or I have to kind of download something and I have no time. I'll just start baking because it's just the thing that I've learned to do to calm myself and to allow myself to access the real creativity, because creation connects us to the creator. 3, reframe your language. Words carry energy. So instead of saying, this is hard, try, this is expanding me. Instead of saying, I have to, say, I get to. I remember that was a big one for me years ago. I was like, oh my God, I have to do this, I have to do that. It's like, wait a second, I want to do these things. I'm actually excited to do them. So why am I making it sound like I'm not? I would switch instead of, I have to do this, I'm excited to. And it changed the energy in what I created. 4, connect to purpose. When you remember you're trying to do something, inspiration becomes steady. Ask yourself each morning, how can I be of service today? I think that's a really big one. And if that's not your question specifically, you can ask, how can I make a difference today? How can I make an impact? How can I connect to creativity? Whatever it is, but there has to be that intention. I know when I say my prayers every day, one of the intentions is protect me from what I need protection from, right? Again, having that kind of very clear, specific intention or mantra changes the energy of that day for you. And 5, practice excitement intentionally. Excitement isn't something that happens by accident. It's something you choose. Because how many times do we have the day, oh my God, I have to do this thing tonight. I don't know why I committed to it. I mean, somebody literally before we recorded, they're like, I'm dreading this lunch. And they'd been dreading it for days. And all I wrote is change your state of mind, change your outlook. So every morning before checking your phone or driving into your day, take 1 minute and ask, what can I be excited about today? And it could be anything. And if you can't think of something, then create that excitement. But I think that's
or create that action.
That action. Just, fake it till you make it, I guess. So the message today is living excited, inspired is not about avoiding challenges. It's about embracing them and realizing that every obstacle is an invitation, a chance to wake up and see things differently and reveal more light.
Beautiful. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Michael.
I have a confession to make.
Oh.
The past few weeks when I've been giving out the address for emails to be sent to us, I've been giving the wrong address.
I'm sure somebody caught that. What
somebody caught it. So I'm not going to say the wrong one again. Don't want to confuse anybody. I do want to apologize to all of you who wrote us emails in the past probably 2 weeks or so. They were to the wrong email address, completely my fault. So please rewrite those emails and make sure, rewrite them, right? Resend those emails in the past 2 or 3 weeks or so. And of course, write new emails with your inspirations, comments, questions, topic ideas, and everything you want to share with us to Monica and Michael at spirituallyhungry.life. That .life is really important because I gave a different something the other few weeks. I'm so sorry. So again, questions.
Was it always that .life?
Yes. Ah. Questions. So I'm not sure how many weeks I've been giving the wrong. Somebody's been getting a lot of emails from you guys. I'm sure they're inspired by it, but we want to be inspired by it as well. Monica and Michael at spirituallyhungry.life. All your questions, comments, inspirations, appreciations. We enjoy reading them. We enjoy receiving them. And as always, make sure you go to Apple Podcasts, write 5-star reviews, share this podcast with everybody that you know. I'm sure, by the way, that those actions will bring you inspiration as well. And as always, we hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it.
Stay spiritually hungry.